All right, Robyn, I gotta cut right to where we are in the show, where we kind of left things off. The fight has finally aired.
So you gonna drag me? You gonna drag me too? Do you want me to? Do you want me to? Drag me. Do you want me to? Do you want me to? Do you want me to? Hey! 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 Hey!
Was that the first time you got to see what had happened, other than when you were there?
Yeah, and when I watched it, my stomach just turned. It just like brought back really bad memories. I was so mortified.
I feel weird kind of phrasing this way, but it's like you have the game tape now, where you could go back and watch play-by-play of what happened. Did you notice anything that you missed in the moment?
To be honest, it was a little bit not as bad as it was in the moment. So I just remember being in the moment. And you know, it's kind of hard because it's really hard to see me and what I'm doing, but I'm holding up the table. I actually ended up afterward having like a strain on my shoulder and like bruising on my arm from it. But I'm holding the table on my mic and I'm just like, I feel helpless because I can't do anything to stop it. And I'm just watching this go down and I'm like, this is just awful. And it's like, don't get me wrong, like Candiace can really irritate you. Like, I've been there with her, but I held my composure and I still can't quite understand how it got to that point. Like, I don't understand why they didn't really have an honest heart-to-heart conversation. Like, all of this could have been avoided if they just would have communicated with one another. And they were both being stubborn. I had no idea that Monique had all this, you know, frustration towards Candiace. This was all news to me watching the show. So when it happened, I was just like, I don't know where this came from. Like, I was at a loss for words and confused. So, I mean, you know, if there's a lesson to be learned for anyone, it's like communication always helps prevent stuff from like this from happening.
She talks a lot of shit and doesn't know why people get pissed off.
I have to blame Monique for this. Well, true. Yeah. I blame her all the way for this.
You and Giselle, in the moment, blamed the moment on Monique.
Yeah.
Do you still feel that way having watched it back?
I do, just because we've been on this show for 5 years. There's been moments when we've all been taken to a level where you don't think you'll ever be. I always have in the back of my mind, like, I'm on camera here as a 40-year-old woman with children. It's just not worth it to me. So, and yes, like I said, Candiace is annoying, but nothing she said in that moment, it wasn't like, she didn't say anything that warranted someone to get very upset. And looking back at it, if this initial contact wasn't made with the hair, the physical fight never would have happened. Never.
After Monique was, you know, in the hallway with the producer, and they were separating everybody, Candiace started shouting, and almost as if she wanted the fight to continue.
Where's she at? Cause you're a ghetto-ass, hood-ass bitch! In her head. And you know how to act.
I can't figure out what her motion was there, if she was trying to process what happened, if she just wanted to let Monique have it. Do you know why she started shouting?
I feel like when you see stuff like that, it makes it harder for people to feel sorry for Candiace in that moment, because it's almost like she was waiting for Monique to lose her cool. And Monique lost her cool and Candiace took the opportunity to really like just make it worse. She probably was baiting her. She probably was trying to get her to come out of her person and to lose control. And in that moment, Candiace won by making Monique lose control. I don't know, it's unfortunate on both sides. It really is. It's so unfortunate.
I don't know if you saw, but Monique went on her Instagram and did a Q&A, and she pushed some blame.
So I did not know until I actually watched the whole altercation on video that someone else pushed me. I thought that was Candiace when she reached across. So I don't know if that was Giselle or Robyn, but that was definitely a push on my shoulder, and that definitely escalated it.
What's your reaction to that?
This is so disappointing to me, because if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. Like, it's okay to say, I lost control, instead of trying to place blame on other people. I'll be honest, Giselle and I have been harassed on social media, blaming us for this fight. And it was very mind-boggling to me, and it's very disappointing. I don't understand all this like shifting blame and trying to blame other people for your actions, because what's the real story? Is it that you thought Candiace threw a glass of wine at you? Or now you thought you felt Candiace push you? And I can honestly say I had a bird's eye view because of where I was standing. Monique did this to her hair, and Candiace returned serve. Monique had on like a vest, and Candiace just went like this to her lapel. So she didn't come with any force, but I think once it got to that point where the lady saw this trading of contact across the table, that's when people are pulling Candiace and maybe pushing Monique away. And it happened so fast that I'm just disappointed that she would use that as a reason for coming across the table and grabbing her hair and doing what she did, what we saw she did. It's like, where does it end? Where does it end? If she would just say, I'm so wrong. I will never do this again. Please, just give me another chance, or can we just start over? I would be so open to that. But hearing the shame, the blame be shifted, that's for me worse than the actual fight.
We know the next episode is the group sit down to talk out what happened.
When the glass of wine went into my face, I remember reaching, and then it was all downhill from there. That is an absolute lie.
What can you tell me about what that sit down looks like and what comes from it?
Wow. It was a very open and honest and raw conversation. Nobody held anything back. And we were, just very hellbent on holding her accountable and figuring out what's next and where do we go from here. And there's a lot of, calling her out on some of the stories that have been twisted and saying, look, I want to believe you. But on the last episode, there was no remorse at all, not a drop of remorse. But in this meeting, there was some remorse. And it definitely was better that happened without Candiace there. I mean, that would have been a disaster because the emotions were still running really high for both of them.
There is a bodyguard there or security there. Whose idea was that, and was it necessary?
Okay, so that was Giselle. Giselle walked in with that security. And I thought it was a little excessive. I'm not scared of Monique. I don't need to walk around with security. So I thought that was Giselle being a little bit extra and overboard. But we find out actually, Karen also had some security there. They were just kind of in the background. So, but Giselle, the one that you do see on camera is Giselle's security. Okay. I was like, I'm like, Giselle, I can be your security. Like, I'm not scared. But then again, I don't want to be.
This is true, but no, you don't want to get involved. But totally tracks that they would be the two to be. This is what we got to do.
Yeah,
we got to bring in the big guns. There is a lot of speculation out there that group meeting with Monique is kind of the end of Monique and the group. We know she is still a part of the show moving forward, but it seems like she might not be part of the group moving forward.
That speculation might be right. I did not see Monique again after that meeting. I was never in a position where I said, I never want to see her again. But there's no way we can move forward as a group with Monique and Candiace in the group without the two of them at some point coming to some sort of, place of forgiveness or reconciliation. And I can say right now that hasn't happened.
Does the group have a similar conversation with Candiace, or what kind of conversations does the group have with Candiace about this to move things forward?
We really did not have like a sit down with Candiace as a group. I think we talked to her a lot, individually. She also was the subject of a lot of bullying on social media right after the fight. So I just kind of wanted to be there for her, whether or not I thought she was responsible.
Will we see Candiace take ownership for escalating that interaction?
Not really. We never really, during the season, really thought that we needed to hold Candiace accountable, because we've seen, we've seen Candiace say far worse things. So we didn't think it was anything to be so upset about. But watching it back, I can see where she's like a little antagonistic.
You brought up the reunion. What do you think this reunion is going to look like? Do you think we're going to have reconciliation? Do you think forward movement can happen? Or will it be a thing where we kind of learn there's not room in this group for both Candiace and Monique?
Gosh, I really pray that we can all be open and honest and really take responsibility for everything and listen to each other. I'm just hoping that, I don't know, like, it'll be interesting. But I'm not confident. I am hopeful.
Take not confident, but hopeful. All right, there's still a lot of season left to watch. Anything else we need to know about the rest of season 5?
Wow. I mean, as you can imagine, just the whole fallout from the fight, that doesn't just, like, we don't, just have our one little meeting and it goes away. Like, it carries over for the rest of the season. And it's interesting to see how everyone handles it and how it affects the dynamic of the group. I do pray that we can all move forward, because I think we are a fantastic group of women. We all bring something to the show. We're all very unique in our own ways. So I pray that we can all move forward and kiss and make up.